Hi, I'm Rita. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Life Worth Reading. Today, I want to talk to you about my 2025 TBR. When I talked about my reading goals for this year, and I think it was like the middle of December or like in early December, I talked about a few books that I would like to read in 2025, but I thought to myself, why not set myself up for failure by talking about more books that I would like to read this year? I'm still not crazy enough to do a 25 books in 2025. You will never catch me doing that type of TBR, but I thought I would talk to you about 15 books that I would like to read in 2025. Because in December it was my birthday and then also Christmas, I ended up getting a few books that I'm really excited to read this year, so I thought that I could talk about them. I'm going to divide the TBR into my owned books and then a couple of books that I don't own yet, but that I would like to own this year. And without further ado, let's just talk about my 2025 books to read. First of all, I'm going to talk to you about a book that I should have already read a long time ago now actually, but that I got some renewed motivation to read this year, and that is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. This behemoth of a book. I somehow still haven't read this book. I was telling myself that I was going to read it and then I was going to do like a whole, reread of the Hunger Games, and I just ended up not doing that in the last couple of years. But with the new book coming out, A Sunrise on the Reaping, which depicts Haymitch's games that is talked about in Catching Fire, which is one of my all-time favorite books. That book is so good. I think it's finally time for me to bite the bullet and finally read A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I haven't seen the film either. I have just been postponing this, and that cannot happen any longer. I have to read this year, hopefully before the book comes out, so I can actually, read the new book as well. But I don't know, I'm just very curious. A lot of my friends have read this book and really enjoyed it, much more than I thought that they would. So I'm hoping that this will be a pleasant surprise for me. I don't know why I haven't read this yet, but it just has to happen this year because I am very much ready for A Sunrise on the Reaping. Next up, I want to talk about Welcome to the Eonang Bookshop by Huang Bo Rum. This is a book that I got for my birthday, which is so exciting. I have been really looking forward to reading this book. I feel like in between all of the cozy books that are coming out in the past like year, I think this is one of the most exciting ones to me personally, because what I've heard about this book just really makes me want to read it. It's about a girl who opens a bookstore, and it's about her trials and tribulations trying to make the bookstore the best place that she can, a place of refuge, a place for readers, but for all people to come together and just socialize, relax, feel safe and secure. And I don't know, I'm just really excited about it. Obviously, I dream of opening my own bookstore one day. Obviously, I mean, if you're a reader, especially if you make content around books, I don't think there's many of us who wouldn't jump at an opportunity to open a bookstore. So I feel like reading about it would just, give a warmth to my heart and make me wonder what it would be like for me to open my own bookstore. So I'm definitely really excited and looking forward to reading this book. I hope it's good, cozy book without being too overboard. I don't like when the message is too heavy-handed. So I hope that this is subtle in the coziness. But other than that, I'm really looking forward to reading this. Then I wondered a lot if I should put this book on the TBR. I wondered, how much do I want to set myself up for failure? How much do I want to fail? And the answer is, I want to fail miserably this year. So I am putting Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy on this TBR. Why am I doing this? I really don't know. I bought this book late last year on Vinted. It is completely new, brand new. And I've just been thinking about reading this book for a while. My edition is not that long. My edition is 800 pages, but the pages are, like that TikToker says, they are so full of words that it's a bit intimidating. But I know that this is a Russian classic. I haven't read many Russian classics. I have a lot to read actually by those authors. And I don't know, I'm just, the more I grow up, the less intimidated I am by big books. So I think I could theoretically do this year. I just don't know why I'm so hesitant about it. But I do own it now. It kind of matches what I'm wearing today. But I do own it now, so why not read it? I can also put it on my Kindle and just read it along if I don't feel like destroying this really pretty cover. I love Wordsworth classics. I love their covers. So if I don't feel like ruining this book, I can also read it on my Kindle. But I think that this is a commitment that I'm going to be making in 2025 because the more I grow up, the less I'm scared of big books. So I think it's finally time for this to happen. And hopefully I'll love it because I know that a lot of people love Anna Karenina. I know some of the things that happen in it. I don't know the whole story. And I would also like to see the adaptations of it. So I think, yeah, it's just finally time for me to try this one out and hopefully enjoy it. Next up, another gigantic book, but I know that I'm going to love. I mean, I'm hopeful that I'm going to love. It's obviously Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. Me and my best friend Bia, we bought each other this book without us knowing for Christmas. And I am so excited to better read this. We both read the Farseer trilogy last year and we loved it. We fell head over heels for it. And so it's finally time to continue on with the series. I'm trying to enjoy this. I think it's a trilogy, right? Or is it quartet? No, it's a trilogy. I'm trying to enjoy this trilogy as much as I can, but I am honestly just reading it just to get back to Fitz's world and those characters that I loved so much during the first trilogy. So this is kind of like a, you know, like a hurdle I have to get through before getting back to one of my favorite series now. But I'm hopeful that I'll enjoy it. I don't know how well I'll deal with new characters since I'm so attached to the old ones. But I'm excited to see where the ties, you know, like where they intersect and what makes them be set in the same world, if that makes any type of sense. I feel like I just didn't make any sense, but if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. So I'm really looking forward to this one. This is the only one that I own yet, but this is also going to take me a while. This is almost 900 pages. So a lot of big books on the TBR this year. Next up, we have a book that is actually on my r/fantasy bingo board that I did last year for the Reddit readathon bingo board, and that is Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. I put this on the TBR last year, but I haven't owned it until late December this year because I had to use a gift card, so I ended up buying this for myself. And I probably should have read it last year because this is set in 2024. This is a dystopian sci-fi by Octavia E. Butler. I've never read anything from this author, and I'm really looking forward to starting out because I think this is going to be an amazing author that I am just really excited to read the entire backlist. And I know that this is a dystopian set in America in 2024. America is a place of chaos where violence rules and only the rich and powerful are safe. Certainly reminds me of something. So I think that now that I own it physically, I am much more, you know, like excited to read it because I have it and it's part of my TBR now and I'm so happy about it. So I cannot wait to read this book. I hope that it's not as sad as I'm picturing, but it probably will be. Then we have a classic, but it's a more recent classic, and it is Stoner by John Williams. This was published in the 20th century in the 1960s. And I know that, yeah, this is about a man called William Stoner who enters the University of Missouri at 19 to study agriculture. Later, he becomes a teacher. He marries the wrong woman. His life is quiet, and after his death, his colleagues remember him rarely. Stoner tells of the conflicts, defeats, and victories of the human race that pass unrecorded by history and reclaims the significance of an individual life. A reading experience like no other, itself a paean to the power of literature, it is a novel to be savored. Okay, so basically the story behind this book. This is the only book that I've acquired so far in 2025, and this book was an offer at my library. They have a little library, I guess, a shelf where people just put books on there, and I was so excited to see this book. It's not in the best condition, but I don't really care about that. If I enjoy it, maybe later on I can buy a prettier edition of it. But I'm just really this is a book that I've been thinking a lot about. I don't know why. Every time that I see it somewhere, I'm like, I have to read this book. So when it was up just be grabbed, well, I grabbed it. And I don't know, I'm a little bit scared. There's always a high expectation when books are so beloved. You're just like, what if I don't get it? What if I'm one of those people that just doesn't get it? But to figure that out, I have to read it. And this is a short one. This is less than 300 pages. And I just hope, I don't know, I just hope that I like it. I hope that I get it. I hope that I enjoy it. And I hope that I can recommend it, because when a book is so beloved, I just get really, really scared. Then also in the realm of fantasy, we have Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I bought this book, I can't remember if it was 2024 or 2023, but this is Darian's all-time favorite book, and also a lot of people's like favorite fantasy novels. This is a duology called, is it the Strange the Dreamer duology? I have no idea. I know that the second book is The Muse of Nightmares. I don't own that, but I have been thinking about buying this book for a long time, but I hate the other cover that they have. So I waited until I saw this on Vinted. So I bought the secondhand, the cover that I love, the cover that I prefer. And now it's time to read it. That's it. I know this is about a lost library. This is about a lost city as well, but it has something to do with books, and it has something to do with a lost city named Weep. That's all I know. I know that a lot of people love this book. It's so, so, so beloved. And I also want to get it so bad. I want to be a girly that gets it. I want to be a girly that loves this. So let's see if I can make that happen this year. Only 2 books left on the owned part of the TBR. And next up we have A Little Luck by Claudia Pinheiro. My friends also gifted me this book for my birthday, which I was so thankful for, because Elena Knows by this author is one of my all-time favorite books. I want to own that book so bad. It's been almost 3 years since I've read it, and I still don't own it yet, which is criminal at this point. But I'm so excited that I own the other book by this author, a more recent book that she published. And this is also set in Buenos Aires. We have, I think we have a crime. There's a crime here. 20 years after a shocking accident, Mary Lohan returns to Buenos Aires suburb. She escaped in a fugue of guilt and isolation. She is not the same. Oh, not her name or voice, not even the color of her eyes. Well, that's certainly intriguing. I just remember loving, adoring the writing style of this author. I thought that Elena Knows was so experimental. The way it conveyed emotions was so meaningful to me. It hit so hard. So I really cannot wait to read something else by this author and see if it still has that same magic. And I don't know, I'm just so thankful that I have this book. It's not a book that I would have purchased right away for myself, so I'm really thankful that my friends kept an eye out for this one and bought me it, because now I can read it, and that is so exciting. And lastly, on my own TBR, another book that I got this on my birthday. It was a present from me to me, and that is Private Rives by Julie Armfield. I am so looking forward to reading this book as well. I loved Our Wives Under the Sea last year. It was one of my favorite books of the year. It was such a wonderful, weird, slow meditation on love, relationships, loss, grief, everything. And I love the writing styles. I love the undertones, the emotion of it. So the fact that I have another book by this author is, yeah, it's something. It's something really special that I'm really happy about. And I will always remember this as the book that I got for myself, a gift to me on my birthday. So that will also be very special. And I know that this is like a climate fiction. It's kind of like a dystopian, but not really. And I know that it's set in a world, or maybe our world, where it just rains a lot. There's so much water, it rains so much, and we are following 3 sisters whose dad has recently passed away, I think. And they have to figure out, maybe, they have to figure out something. Something sinister seems to be unfolding, something related to their mother's long ago disappearance and the strangers who have always been unusually interested in their lives. I've heard that I shouldn't trust this synopsis in the back too much, because I think that the book takes quite a turn away from it. But whatever it is, I'm really looking forward to reading it. I hope that I enjoy it as much as Our Lives Under the Sea. I hope it also has the same magic, because it would be amazing to have a new favorite author, and an author who I can always count on for more 5 stars. And now let's talk about 6 books that I desperately want to read but I don't own yet. The first one is actually Intermezzo by Sally Rooney, which is a bit shocking to me because I've only read one book by Sally Rooney, which was Beautiful World, Where Are You? And I actually ended up giving it like a 3.5, I think a 4 rounded up, because it was a book that when I was reading it, it wasn't making such an impact on me, but it was a book that I thought a lot about after finishing it, a book that stayed on my mind for a long time. And though I have absolutely no interest in reading Sally Rooney's other books, Normal People or Conversations with Friends, don't ask me why, don't try to convince me. I'm just not here for it. But I think that Intermezzo could be a really fun one. It's also on a lot of best books of 2024 lists. Every journal, every literary magazine, every book influencer loved this book. So I just want to try it out. I want to read something else by Sally Rooney that is not those books that I've already mentioned, just to see if I still vibe with the writing. Could she be an author for me? Could she not be? I don't know, because Beautiful World, Are You really left me feeling so ambivalent about it. I loved it, but I also didn't really care about it. It was a weird mix, so I'm really excited to read Intermezzo and just figure out how I feel about this author. Then we also have The Lion Women of Tehran by Miriam Kamali, and I've noticed that a lot of books on here are books that I put on here because I've read other things by these authors that I enjoyed. And this is one of those because I read The Stationery Shop by this author. I listened to the audiobook a couple of years ago, I think 2023, and I remember really enjoying it. I enjoyed the more historical literary aspects of it and not really the romance, which I thought was a little bit predictable, but the atmosphere, the writing, it was all really, really great. And I actually don't know the plot of this book. I just know that the name really caught my attention, The Lion Women of Tehran. And the rating, this book has a 4.5 on Goodreads. So everyone loves this book. And I've already loved something by this author, so it's a win-win situation. And also the cover is really, really beautiful. So if I can find it, I would love to read it physically. But if not, I'll just make something else happen. But I cannot wait to read this book because I think it's going to be another win for me. Then obviously, we have Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales by Heather Fawcett. Book 3 and the final book. I will cry if I say this. The final book in the Emily Wilde series. Guys, did these books change my life? Yes. Yes. Very weirdly, they did. They did change my life. Book 2, one of the highlights of my reading year last year, it was everything I ever wanted out of a romantasy. And I didn't even know that I could say that, but it was. So the fact that we have a 3rd book coming out in less than a month, oh, it's so serious. Oh, it's so serious. I even bought a special edition. I bought a Fairy Loot special edition. Me. I never buy special editions of books, but I have one because this book was so important to me. And the 3rd one, it's going to define everything. It's how will it end? And the setup for this book is also so interesting. Obviously, I can't go into it because of spoilers, but we're going to be in a different place. And I think it's going to be such an interesting exploration of our characters and their dynamic. I'm just gooped in a gag. I am so ready for it and I cannot wait to buy it. Do I even have to talk about this book? We're all waiting for Calabasas by R.F. Kuang. I am waiting hesitantly. I don't know why, but when I read the synopsis to academic, maybe rivals that have to descend into hell, I don't know how I feel about it, but I do know that I'm going to read it. I know at least that, but I don't know why. I have an inkling, a premonition. Maybe I'm just anxious, but I feel like people are not going to really enjoy this book. Don't ask me why, but I'm feeling in my intuition that this book is not going to be very good, or people are not going to think that it's very good. So I'm waiting for it hesitantly, but obviously I am going to read it. It has to go on the TBR because R.F. Kuang new release, that's gospel, but will I enjoy it? Now that is the question. Only 2 books left, and one of them is James by Percival Everett. I have never read anything by this author, and I really, really want to try one out. James is the story of a character, a side character, who is in... I know it's Mark Twain's books. I don't know if it's Huckleberry Finn, if it's Tom Sawyer. I don't know if it's all set in the same world. For my birthday, I actually got a really big and beautiful collection of Mark Twain's stories. So I'm going to be reading them, and then I'm going to be reading James, which just really takes this side character from this white world and just gives him a story and gives him a personality and explores his desires, his ideas. And I'm really looking forward to reading about that. I think it could be a really powerful book. I've heard amazing things about this author's writing especially. So it just makes me really, really happy that I will eventually read this book. I would love to buy it physically as well, but we'll just have to see if that happens or not, because I don't love the covers. But I'm really looking forward to reading this book, and also just to find out about this character from, you know, the original screenplays, not screenplays, from the original novels, and then reading this interpretation of the character. And finally, we did it, guys. We really did it. This is also a book that I've been meaning to own, but I just cannot find it anywhere because this is an indie published book. But that is A Sword of Kaigen by ML Wang. This is, I think, also on my Reddit bingo board, so I should get on that until April. But this is just a book that everyone loves, right? This is a solo fantasy. Solo, is that what I mean? No, I mean a standalone. This is a standalone fantasy. ML Wang is a really beloved writer. They have come out with Blood Over Bright Haven that people have also been loving, and that has been traditionally published. But The Sword of Kaigen is still a lot of people's favorite, and I would love to know more about it. I know it features an older woman character, a mother, I think. I think she's mother, but I'm not really sure about that. But this is just a book that I've been really looking forward to reading for the longest time now. I have been waiting to own it physically, but I can't find it here. So maybe I'll just have to, you know, maybe I'll just have to read on my Kindle. I think that might be what will happen, but I think the cover is really nice and I would love to own it. But this book, I'm making a commitment. I am reading this book in 2025. I mean, I'm making a commitment to all of these books, but this one especially, I'm finally reading it in 2025, especially so I can complete my effing bingo board, because I would love to do another one this year, but if I fail miserably, then I will lose my motivation to do so. So we'll just have to see. So these are all of the books that are on my 2025 TBR. These are 15 books, 9 physical and 6 that I don't own, that I would love to read this year. Listen, I feel, call me delusional, and you might. I feel like I'm getting better with my TBRs. I feel like I am getting better. I have been reading the books that I set out to read, which is huge for me. It really is huge for me. I don't usually do that. So the fact that I have been doing that gives me a lot of confidence that I will be able to read these 15 books. But maybe I am just being delusional. But hey, 2025 is all about being delusional. We are going to be Delulu in 2025. But hopefully we're also going to enjoy the books that we're reading, because that would be amazing. Let me know what you think about these books that I just mentioned. Are any of them on your yearly TBR? What are you planning to read in 2025? Let me know all that in the comments down below. And if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content. And I'll see you in my next video. I hope you have a nice day, and always remember that life is worth reading.